Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know I've been MIA for a while, but I'm back with my first ever motovlog. So let's do it. So like I was saying, because I think my microphone disconnected while I was trying to record this, this is a topic I've been, well, before I got a motorcycle, I really spent a lot of time searching this topic, and that's whether or not I should get a 300, a 600, or kill myself on a leader bike. So there's a lot of good information out there, but I'm gonna hope to kind of give a different little perspective into making that decision, coming from someone who is a relatively new rider. My first bike was a 600, and now I'm on this 959. So I think the first thing, before we even get into the decision making process, I think there's two things everyone should do. First of all, go get a motorcycle class. If you're going to be spending thousands of dollars or $2,000 or $3,000 on a motorcycle, you might as well spend the $100 or $200 that it takes to go through a motorcycle endorsement course. I think Florida makes it mandatory, but make sure you take that course. I think it's so valuable, and a lot of people don't give it enough credit. Yeah, you're on small motorcycles, but it really gives you a different respect for what could go wrong, and throttle control and things like that. Another thing that's super important is making sure you understand what the clutch does. Like, if you had a sports car before and you know exactly how the clutch works and shifting, then you're fine. You can kind of skip over this. But if you have no idea what the clutch does and you just think it's just pulling it in and doing XYZ and it goes into a gear, that's cool and all, but you really need to understand the danger of shifting, and what happens if you rev too high and then you shift. Like, you need to mechanically understand what the bike is doing, because if you mechanically understand what it's doing, you're less likely to actually make that mistake, because it's kind of ingrained in you. So go watch the video, understand how it works. You can watch a car video, a motorcycle video, it's all the same thing, except just a lot more dangerous on a motorcycle. The next step is, which type of motorcycle do you wanna get? Alright, so you took your motorcycle endorsement, you learned how the clutch works. Now I think the next thing to understand is really be honest with yourself and try to understand your personality. And what I mean by your personality is, do you have too much ego? Are you thinking you could do anything on the first try? Things like that, because that type of personality is pretty dangerous on these bikes. And you're gonna think, oh, I can start off on a leader bike, or maybe I can start off on a 600. And I would just be very careful with that. Now, if you feel like you're a very disciplined individual and you have a lot of respect for motorcycles, then yeah, you could go ahead and jump into a 600 or a leader bike, because you're gonna treat it with respect, and that's gonna help you avoid a lot of different accidents. Now, like I mentioned before, if you're a hothead, you're pretty crazy, then you should probably start off on a 300, even though I know most of you guys are not gonna want to. That's what you could do. Look at that, motorcycle gang, baby. So this is my opinion on the 300s. I personally did not start on a 300. I don't think I would ever start on a 300 or ask anyone to start on a 300. And the reason is because I think they're ugly as hell. Like, the way their fenders are positioned, all of that stuff is pretty ugly, and I'm just not really cool with it. I don't really like how they look. And one thing about motorcycles, you're gonna get really addicted to the power very fast, and you're gonna outgrow that bike pretty fast. And if you're gonna be spending money on a bike, you might as well just get something kind of in the medium tier. Now, if you have enough money to blow, buy a 300 1 month, and then in 6 months buy a 600, then go ahead and start with a 300. But I think the sweet spot for most individuals, and what I recommend for everyone, is really a 600. You can still kill yourself on a 600. It's still very dangerous, but when I had a 600 back in 2017, I got to the point where I could full throttle it and I didn't feel like it was too much power, you know what I mean? Well, if you did that on a, you know, R1 or a Ninja 1000, you know, you might easily lift off the front and do a backflip or two. So that's my opinion. I did start off on a 600. My first 600 was a CBR 600RR. I did start off on a 600. I started off on a CBR 600RR. I did take my motorcycle endorsement class, and I did understand how clutches work because I used to drive a manual. And whoopsie. And yeah, so I started off on a 600 CBR. I did have almost a few minor mistakes where I could have, you know, dropped it. Actually, I did drop it, not like while riding it, just like while trying to get on it. It got a little heavy for me on one side and just kind of toppled over, but luckily I had some frame sliders. But other than that, I didn't really have any near-death experiences, just small little mistakes like that. I took it slow, learned a little bit more about the bike, and got to the point where I could kind of full throttle it and not be too afraid of its power, which was really important for me. And now I'm on this Panigale, which is 959 cc's, but it doesn't have the same output as a liter bike. It's like in between a 600 and a liter bike, but this thing is fast, man. Like, this is no joke. The quick shifter, everything about this bike is just crazy. We'll see. And that's obviously not full throttle, not even half throttle, just a little baby pulls here and there, that's all. Now, I'm going to offer a different perspective. I did mention I would highly recommend everyone uses or starts off on a 600, depending if, you know, you're disciplined enough. But I'm going to give a different outlook on the whole, you know, which motorcycle to start off with. And that's if you're going to get a liter bike, if you're going to say, fuck it, I want to get a liter bike anyways, at least try to get a liter bike that has some built-in technology to kind of lower the power mode, right? That's super important. I think Suzuki, maybe BMW, they have like 3 modes, like ABC, where one is very reduced and the other one is kind of like normal, and then the third one's just like crazy. I do recommend that as well. So if you are going to get a liter bike, you might as well get something that you could kind of control the power, and you could kind of work your way up to, you know, the actual full potential of the motorcycle. Man, it's hot. Thank you. Yeah, of course. 2020. 17. Thank you. Yeah, 17 without freaking taxes and all the other extra shit they put on it. Fucking wish it costed 17,000. Shit. Ducati? Of course it's a Ducati, baby. It's a Ducati. Let's go down this street. So like I was saying, let's recap. So A, get a motorcycle endorsement. B, understand how clutches work, because that's very important. C, understand what type of personality you are. So are you crazy? Are you disciplined? You know what I mean? Are you going to respect the bike? And then from there, make your decision, right? I think 300, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have enough money to kind of start off on a 300, or someone, you know, lets you try one out, then for sure stick to a 300. But if you're going to invest a pretty penny, you might as well start off on a 600 And if you want to get a 1000 anyways, then at least get one that has different variable modes. For example, this bike, I could have it on like a soft mode where it's not too crazy. And yeah, enjoy Clearwater, baby. Oh my god, that sound is intoxicating. Yeah, you gotta be careful out here. We're gonna go loop around, go down there where there's some better scenery and whatnot. Clearwater, baby. Fuck, I felt it. I felt something. Clearwater, baby. It's called the Florida side. It's my brother right there. How you feeling? All right. Yeah. Just having some fun. We're not gonna take it. That thing flies, man. No cap.